This is not a PG-13 movie to see with your children unless you are a particularly emancipated adult.
What?
Matrix got an R and this gets a PG-13? Give me a break! This was a terribly embarrassing movie to see with my 12 and 15-year-old daughters.
Why would you bring them?
Why would you take them?
I expected a PG-13 adaptation of Shakespeare, and I got a nearly NC-17.
Incredible.
That was a 1-star review from IMDb. Hello and welcome to Spoilers Intended, a podcast about series and films. I'm Ryan, joined as always by Andrew.
Greetings.
And Steven.
Heidi-ho, neighbor.
And in this episode, we're reviewing the late 90s high school rom-com, 10 Things I Hate About You.
We are.
Yes.
It is, in fact, what we are doing, yes.
Let's start with a plot summary, shall we?
Almost asked that as a question. We are?
We are?
We are? Wait.
I know what I'm here for.
What did I watch? All right, a high school boy,
TV
Cameron.
series.
What? Go ahead.
The TV series.
Oh,
Is there a TV
series?
Oh, no. When we pulled this up on Disney Plus, it was like 2 down in the search bar, and Lauren's like, oh my God, there's a remake. I don't want to know what year that was made. And we went to it afterwards. It's like, 2009. Wait, it's a TV series? The first season?
2009, wow.
Yeah.
That's a wild, like, okay, so that would have been, I guess, 20 years after it came out.
10 years.
No,
10.
99. Okay, yeah, 10 years. Sorry. I was like...
Math, how does it work?
I'm not good at it, so that's how it works. Okay, that's a little too soon. To me, it's like you need to get that 20 to 30 year nostalgia gap
But
going
also
on.
it's weird for it to be a TV show.
I don't know. It may actually do better as a TV show.
Well, it only
than a
got 1
movie.
season, so debatable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have 10 episodes,
Was
there
it a
you go.
Disney Channel thing?
I assume so.
It had to be a straight to Disney Channel.
That's interesting. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, sorry, not to derail that.
No,
It's just-
it's I didn't realize that.
It's
That's
always
crazy.
fascinating to search for these things on like the streaming platform that it's on and be like, they made a sequel with Larry the Cable Guy.
Like when we did
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah. We were like, there's a Larry the Cable Guy sequel?
Well, I mean, this is just how it works with all Disney stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
still forget that there's like a Lion King 2 or a Mulan 2.
It's like
sure,
a Lion King 4.
Oh, God,
yeah,
don't
they
say that.
did
Like
a lot of
They did a lot of Lion King.
VHS back in the day.
Yeah, or
Wasn't there like
Little
3
Mermaid.
Aladdins or something like that?
Yeah.
Well,
something
okay,
like that.
now, at least with Aladdin, the first one and the second, well, the first one's obviously a masterpiece.
Phenomenal,
The
yeah.
third one is actually pretty good.
I've never seen anything past the first one.
Return
Yeah,
to
I-
Jafar was fine.
I'm pretty sure I've
Yeah.
never watched one of the oh gosh, who was the CEO back then? Who was all about the straight to was it Eisner?
Eisner? Yeah, no.
Like straight to
can't remember.
the straight to VHS.
His whole thing
sequels.
was like straight to VHS,
Yeah, like,
make
we
that
have all
cash.
these IPs. Where's Aladdin 2? Where's Lion King 2? Where's
Putting
Little
stuff in
Mermaid
theaters
2?
is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids don't care. Just sell them the
They
schlock.
don't care.
Who cares about our brand? Erode it. Get the money in now. Yeah.
All right, anyways,
A plot summary for 10 Things I Hate About You. A high school boy, Cameron, cannot date Bianca until her antisocial older sister, Kat, has a boyfriend. So, Cameron pays a mysterious boy, Patrick, to charm Kat.
Wow.
That pretty much describes it.
That's basically
a little.
Yeah.
There's a few extra steps.
There's
in
a
there.
lot.
There's a
of-
lot.
The plot for this movie is very convoluted, honestly.
Thank one of the writers, William Shakespeare, Andrew. All right.
Just old Billy Shakes.
What?
The Taming of the Shrew is the
Taming
Shakespeare
of the Shrew,
story.
got
That
it,
it's
okay.
it's same idea.
I'm actually
roughly.
not terribly familiar with Shakespeare stuff.
And
Like,
they pull. So the story takes place in Padua, and this takes place in Padua High School.
okay.
So they
There's a
pull-
lot of little,
There's
yeah,
like
connections.
Patrick's last name is Verona, which is a reference, I think, to Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like
Verona.
that.
I knew no Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's in there. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that watching this film.
Yeah.
Oh, there was not to derail.
No, go for
this
it.
This is the first time my wife
Thought I was producing this episode. Who knew?
No.
I was like, go ahead, dude.
No. This is the first time that my wife had ever seen it, and I told her, "Oh, you'll like it. It's not Euro Trip, but it's kind of the same level of it doesn't age well in some respects.
Yeah.
In some
but,
respects.
but you're still gonna like." She's like, "I don't like rom-coms." Well, there was a quote early on in one of the she literally goes, "Is this Taming of the Shrew?" Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she's like an English major.
I mean, she's an English nerd. Yeah.
Oh yeah, then yeah, she probably caught on fairly quick. Like,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
all that just went right over my head.
This is like
Right, yeah.
15, maybe tops 20 minutes of the movie. Yeah.
See, like same way. I'm pretty limited on my Shakespeare knowledge. I just knew that because I had heard it after it came out. Like
Yeah.
people
See,
talked about it. Yeah.
pretty much I knew after it was out in theaters, people were like, yeah, it's a modern adaptation of Taming of the Shrew. Oh,
I would also say it's an attempt at a modern remake of like what feels like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Just for the first half of the film, just because you have like all the eccentricities of like this Californian school.
Right.
It's Seattle.
That's a lot of.
I mean, but West Coast.
West Coast.
Yeah.
That's a lot of high school movies, though, if you think about it, though.
Like, you had like each like Quaker's like, well, these are the cowboys and they have cowboy hats, like that kind of like nonsense.
This is my
So
my
you say
identity
nonsense?
as a trench coat
This
in high
was
school.
Basically, my high school experience.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, we had the Cowboys sat at this table. So we'll get to that when we get past the info
See,
here.
the problem is
But
Andrew went to Coke Mountain and
What is Coke Mountain?
Oak Mountain.
It's
Okay.
but Coke Mountain because we had a cocaine problem.
Oh, I thought you meant we all drank Coca-Colas on our breaks.
Nope.
No,
So
we were just
Andrew's like,
another kind of
I don't
Coke.
understand the stereotype. He's like, that's because your people at your high school were all one stereotype.
Yeah,
I mean, we
they
really
were all
did.
Coke dealers, apparently.
I mean, we just had a lot of country boys, and that was basically it.
Well, that was the joke in my high school was it's like the Dukes of Hazzard if they drove BMWs.
Wow.
It's pretty much true.
It's pretty true, yeah.
All right, back on track. This movie was released March 31st, 1999.
Good year.
Directed by Gil. I think it's Younger. It's Junger. It could be Junger. I think it's Younger.
I think it's Junger.
Junger.
Yeah.
I looked up his, filmography. Mostly it's all TV. It's a bunch of TV movies.
He just happened to break out.
He
for
also
this one.
did Black Knight with Martin Lawrence. It came out like a year or two after
okay.
this. So it seems like he had like hey, I'm going to try Hollywood directing.
And then it's like,
Didn't like that. And it's just all TV and TV movies after that. Yeah. Written by Karen McCullough, Kristen Smith, and William Shakespeare. It's actually credited.
That's kind of cool
to him.
that they actually credited him for it.
I guess it's so much of an adaptation of Taming of the Shrew. They had to.
straight quotes from the play in it. So you kind of almost have to.
At that point, you almost have to. Yeah. Music by Richard Gibbs, who
didn't have a whole lot to do.
Didn't have a ton to do, but also like if you look at Ladybugs is another one he did. Have you guys seen that one with Jonathan Brandis and Rodney Dangerfield?
No.
What? That was like a constant after school movie for me. Dr. Dolittle with Eddie Murphy.
Okay, I know that one.
I've actually never seen that movie.
You're
not missing much. Yeah.
Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah. The
I have
sequel
seen that
to,
one.
Yeah.
So he had a run. It looked like in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s kind of type stuff. Starring Heath Ledger, Julia Stiles, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Larissa Olenek, David Krumholtz, Gabrielle Union, Larry Miller, Allison Janney, and many more.
Honestly, the cast is pretty freaking good.
It's pretty
It is.
stacked for the time period.
Well, especially you get to see, like, this is Heath Ledger's first American movie.
Yeah.
Not ever a movie. He did a few in
Because he's
Australia.
Australian, isn't he?
Yeah.
But like, you get a lot of these. Yeah, you get these stars that will later.
He's a heartthrob in this.
So I did see something when I was looking up. They were like, oh, this was, the breakout role for Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I was like, well, hold on.
Not really.
He'd been on Third Rock from the Sun for like 4 years at this point. Like Angels in the Outfield. Like, the dude's been
I was
working
going to say
since,
Angels in the Outfield.
Dude's been working for like 9 years. Like, what the heck?
Maybe I guess this was the first role when he was like starting to grow up a little bit. Maybe,
but I mean, like Third Rock, he did Third Rock before it and after it. Yeah, so whatever.
Whoever said that was stupid.
Yeah.
The budget was $30 million with a domestic box office of $38 million, $53 million worldwide. So it didn't make a ton of money.
It's a rom-com. I don't know if like rom-coms are like generally make a lot of money anyways.
I don't know.
Well, okay, so I have a theory, and I didn't look up a lot of like bunch of them, but like the She's All That with Rachel Lee Cook came out in January of '99. This came out. There was like 3 or 4 movies.
What didn't
Can't Hardly Wait?
Because that's watching that film. That's all I could think about during like the party sequence or whatever. I was like, all I can think about now is Can't Hardly Wait.
My problem. Have y'all seen Not Another Teen Movie?
Yes.
No.
I keep conflating like funny parts from Not Another Teen Movie where they spoof a lot of these movies to the actual movie, and I'm like, where's the scene where the guy? Oh no, that's not another teen movie. That's what I'm thinking.
That and like Scary Movie and some of those that have just like some of the spoofs in there.
Yeah. But so I don't know if like in '99 it was like the teen rom-com, because you think American Pie came out 2000, I believe.
Well,
so
you
like
had the Leo. Romeo and Juliet came out somewhere around this.
Romeo plus Juliet.
That's it. But well, see, I tend to think
and
of
that
was
1996, by the way.
Okay,
yeah, that was a little earlier.
I tend to think of it in the same way that like Spy Family. You don't say Spy X Family.
Yeah.
I try to ignore the plus sign.
Because there's so many Romeo and Juliet films, Romeo plus Juliet is actually like.
But once you say Leo, it kind of narrows it down.
It narrows it down pretty quick.
I love that movie, unironically.
I'm not a huge fan of that movie. All right, let's talk about our overall thoughts. What did everybody think about the movie?
I think this movie is fine. I don't think it ages very well. So I watched it when it first came out, back in like 2000 or 1999, 2000, somewhere around there.
Right, yeah. When it came out to rent or came.
And I was really too young to watch it at the time because I was like maybe 10 or 11. But I think it's fine. They're like watching.
14.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
You said that. I was like, hold on, wait.
No, ignore that.
See, I just took it at face value. He's like, he knows his own age. I'm not going to question him on it.
No, I don't. Just
you're 30, right?
Math, how does it work?
We're struggling with math tonight.
No, but watching it with like a modern lens, obviously there's just some jokes that just don't land.
Sure, yeah.
But it's
that's like endemic of anything.
It is, yeah, absolutely. But watching it, the plot progresses so like quickly where there's just like, I feel that there should have been a couple extra scenes in there to give us like some context of like, oh, they actually did like talk in between this scene. Oh, now they're just on a date or now they're at the prom. And
it's a
like
pretty short movie. It's hour 35, something like that.
Something like that.
It's pretty short.
It's a pretty short movie. Like it could have probably stood for another 15 minutes.
Well, if you watch like there's some bloopers during the credits, you can see a lot of scenes that never made it into the movie.
So again, something from the 90s, like bring it back.
Bring back bloopers, baby.
I don't care if you have to manufacture them
because
like
everyone
Pixar.
hits, skip to next episode or whatever.
Yeah, but see, they don't
like watch credits.
When this hit, it didn't do where it normally shrinks the credits down to the side because you had the bloopers. So actually watch all the credits. I like bring it back.
Yeah.
But to that point, I bet there's a lot that's left on the cutting room floor. They probably had to hit a short runtime.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, I'm trying not to judge it too harshly on that.
Well, okay, what did you like about it? Let's start there.
I thought Julia Stiles did really good. She plays that character really, really well.
Yeah.
And she kind of has played that character in every other film that she's done.
For most of her career.
Not
everything.
Heath Ledger, I thought he was really good, but I think he was underutilized. Just because
he's not really a main character.
He's not.
He's very much to the side for most of the film.
Yeah.
Right.
Without giving too much away.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know, like, kind of like when I mentioned like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, there like that movie you still get a lot of like nuance for each character, where this one you don't get a lot of that. And now, granted, I think Fast Times is a longer film.
Oh, let's find out.
I think it feels longer.
It feels longer.
Speaking of Can't Hardly Wait was 1998 because I looked it up because this is all right in the same block,
right in the same era.
But yeah, you get a lot of those kind of nuanced characters in Fast Times, where this one just feels kind of like it's
shorter by like 5 minutes.
Oh well, I don't know then.
No excuse. Still no.
Either way, they spent more time on characters in Fast Time than
because it really feels like the movie for 10 Things doesn't really even kick off until about 30 or 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the core of the story that you take away from it is the back half. And the front half is all kind of almost
set up,
awkward setup for it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, get to the part that I remember, that I like,
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like just because it dilly-dallies for too long, it does get kind of boring at the start. And then at the end, you're like, oh, okay, I remember this is where I enjoyed it.
It's like going by the time we're getting close to the end.
There's definitely a way to do the introduction of this movie faster.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I mean, I don't know. I would probably recommend it to someone that would want to that just likes these kind of older rom-coms or whatever.
Yeah.
But
you got to caveat it with, I think the modern lens is, I'm curious when your 1-star review was made.
I'd have to look it up, but it was
if it was on IMDb, it's probably when it came out.
They were talking about going to the theater to see it with their kids.
Yeah,
so
because I almost wonder about that sometimes when we pull 1-stars of older films, and it's like, is this someone who watched this
like
later?
last week?
And they're like, I don't understand the comedy in this is horrible from your perspective as like an 18-year-old or something at this time.
Right?
I don't know.
No, so for me, I have this movie. I will fully admit is not a great film. Right? There are some acting that's like all over the place. I mean, the pacing is kind of weird, but it always holds a very special place in my heart. I have a soft spot for it, I guess, because I saw this in theater when it came out. I was a sophomore. I was the same age as Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
And
you had a crush on...
I had a crush on a girl who I will not name, but she looked exactly like Alyssa Olenek. Larissa Olenek, who was Alex Mack from Nickelodeon. I had a crush on her when she was Alex Mack when I was like 7th, 8th grade. I get to high school where I'm from. I went to city school. There was a bunch of county schools. High school was like all 8 grade schools come together. I see this girl in my grade who looks exactly like Larissa Olenek, and I'm floored, right? So my crush in 9th grade and 10th grade when this movie came out was her, right?
Oh, wow.
So I'm like in the theater going like, yes, you know, like,
it can be done. Yeah, it can be done.
I had a girl in one of my classes sophomore year who was Julia Stiles. She was essentially a upperclassman who was taking it was like an elective her senior year of, you know,
like pass. Like you gotta graduate. Yeah.
She was reading Sylvia Plath. She was like listening to Bikini Kill. She was not in the mood to be in with a bunch of 10th graders. And so we all were like, ugh, this girl, you know,
she's also just like, ugh.
Yeah. Because she's so like just Debbie Downer over here. And so when I saw this in 10th grade, like I hinted to earlier, like my high school was very cliquey. It was, these are the goth kids, these are the cowboys, these are the kids that do shop class, here's the jocks, here's the nerds. We didn't even
have shop class at Oak Mountain.
Right, y'all just doing coke in the hallways, just like losing your mind.
Powder. The material.
It's just a snow drift.
The air kicks on at 8 a.m.
It's just and the teacher's like, we're going to learn fast today. Okay, here we go. No, so as much of a stereotype as this movie is, it's based off of, to me, some reality. It's obviously a hyper real version of, you know, what's going on. But like,
of course, it's traumatized.
There was always the new kid like Heath Ledger who's like, who's this guy? Where's he from? And the rumors start up of like, I heard he was.
I do love all the rumors that
pop up around him.
It's pretty good.
But okay, so to come back to my point here, like I thought this movie was hilarious and great when I saw it in 10th grade, and it really resonated. This is probably the first time I've seen it since, all the way through. I've probably caught a piece of it here and there. And so as an adult watching it, it's wild because I remember when I was a kid, I did not care for Julia Stiles in this movie. I think it's because she reminded me too much of this girl that was in my class, right?
Makes sense.
And I thought the story with, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Larissa Olenek was like, that's the core of the movie.
It's super
Why are we wasting our time on this, you know, this Heath Ledger and this other girl stuff? Now I'm like, it's similar to, we reviewed Stardust, right? Yeah. And he has that moment where in that movie
it flips,
where it flips, and they're like, "What do you like about this girl?" And he has nothing to say. In this movie, I'm looking at Larissa Olenek going like, "Why does he even like her? Like she's just cute."
She's just,
like there's nothing
nothing there. She's vapid.
Well, her name. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the name. Bianca. Yeah. So why does Cameron like Bianca? And it's like
she's cute.
She's cute. That's it. And so as a kid who was that age, who had a crush on someone that looked like him, the movie was a whole different experience this time. So I had a fun time re-experiencing it from that perspective of going like, man, I also remembered it being way funnier than what it is. Like
there's really not that funny of jokes in it.
There's
a couple like it's calling it a rom-com is almost stretching.
It's a little
the term a little.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely moments I laughed.
Oh yeah.
And like Larry Miller, who plays the dad.
Oh, he's great.
He's always great.
He's fantastic. Right? He has the best jokes in the film.
Right. And he's kind of the comedic relief. I feel like
maybe it's just because we're around his age now.
I went from being Jordan Gordon-Levitt to now I'm Larry Miller. Like, my daughters.
We're all we're all jaded millennials at this point. Right. And we're just like, yeah, man, I hear you.
Oh man, when he starts going off on one of his rants, I'm just like, this is
too close to home.
Too close here. I don't know how I feel here.
But I would, in terms of like recommending it to somebody, if you've never seen this movie, you just have to understand this is a time capsule, both in like how movies were made and the subject matter and the jokes.
And there's really only one icky part in the whole film.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah, for the most part, it's fine.
For the most part, it's like, wow, we're really pushing the boundaries here. And
yes,
then one part
definitely
for
a PG-13,
where you're like, whoa, they did that.
Yeah.
Holy, okay. And then
what about you, Steven?
So I unironically love this film.
Yeah, which is fine.
I don't know. Well, it's one of those things where there's a certain set of kind of like I won't say teenage, but teenage rom-com type films that they hit. Can't Hardly Wait's one of them, right? Hit the right time as I'm going into high school.
10 Things I Hate About You, Euro Trip.
Well, that's the same thing.
Euro Trip's
a little bit.
It's not really a rom-com, but a little bit. It's more of a.
It's got romance in there.
Well, it's kind of like
comedy.
For me, it was like
just a comedy.
The American Pie movies were like, I've said this before on the cast, like that one came out when I was a senior and they were seniors.
Yeah.
The sequel comes out and they're in college and I'm in college. The sequel to that comes
lined
out.
up perfectly.
They're getting married. All my friends are getting married. And so it was one of those movie series that I fully admit it's not,
the first
Citizen
American
Kane
Pie,
or anything.
The first American Pie is fun.
Yeah, but it also has some problematic humor and things of that nature. But it hit at the right time, like you're saying with Can't Hardly Wait and 10 Things.
But one of the cool things about rewatching this now, right, is watching it be like, it's so weird to watch a movie set in high school where all the actors are actually teenagers.
Or close to it.
Close to it. So Larissa she's 21, I think, or 20. Whenever
I don't know if she's that old or not. I know Gabriel Union's 26 when this was filmed.
Heath Ledger was
19.
Yeah,
he's a teenager.
He's a teenager.
That's still a teenager. Like Julia Stiles is 17 or either 17 or 18, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's 17 or 16.
This isn't Dawson's Creek where 30-year-olds are acting like they're in high school.
Yeah.
Larissa was born in 1981.
So she's a year older than me. So she would have been basically a junior when I was a senior.
Yeah, she's 18 in this.
Or when I was a sophomore.
1999?
Yeah, 81.
81, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Also, this was filmed before 99.
The year before,
so she's probably 17 when this is filmed. So, like, they're basically the whole cast is teenagers, which is kind of refreshing to see.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's the Dawson's Creek, which I love the dad reference to the Dawson's Creek in the film, where it's like, this is not what high schoolers look like. I don't remember high schoolers looking like 26-year-olds where it's like, you need to shave in between takes, bro.
But I got to pick up my kids after this take.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It's also fun to watch this kind of film now where, like, obviously we know, what Heath Ledger's career did from here.
Yes.
We've seen Julia Stiles, but also just seeing, other random people in this film and being like, it never hit with me that David Crumwell's like, oh, there's Bernard from Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
Same guy. It's like, whoa, that's kind of cool to see, this person out here, working and doing other films, just kind of out there. But he started talking. I was like, hold on, I know this voice.
I know that guy.
I know that guy.
And like my wife made the comment because we watched it together because she loves this movie.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, is like at that stage where he's like, he's still a heartthrob, but he's acute because he's young.
Yeah.
She's like, look, he's still got like freckles because he has like these like freckles on his nose. And I remember, again, because I watched it when I was a sophomore, he looked like an older upperclassman. And watching it now, he looks like a child to me. Like, he looks like a baby.
Child.
Yeah.
And he's 19. And it's like, it's crazy to see, because you can see just in the bone structure of his face, like, he's not done growing up yet when he made this movie. But that's just wild to me.
In terms of, like, recommendations, right, we've already covered this. It's time capsule. It's got some of its own little quirks that you're going to have to just accept going into.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of seeing it as, a modern retelling of Taming of the Shrew that follows the story really well, which is kind of could be a treat for someone.
Yeah.
And also just, I think the actual core piece of the story is really good and really well done. So it's totally worth a watch. What if, instead of 10 reasons to hate us, we had over 100 reasons to love us?
Over 100.
Over 100.
I like that.
That's a lot of episodes.
That is a lot of episodes. That's right.
That's a lot of content.
If you want to check out all of our previous episodes, go to spoilersintendedpodcast.com. We've got all of our prior episodes on there, just waiting to be listened to.
We also have a Discord that you can come and join on. We have over 100 topics that you can join in.
Do we?
No, I don't know. Maybe. Probably not.
I'll give you 10 reasons to follow us on social. 1, it's a lot of fun. 2, we have both Facebook and Instagram. 3, we post what we're going to watch the next week. 4, we post behind the scenes stuff. 5, it'd be really cool if you did that. 6, please share. 7, comment. You can comment, and that's a really cool thing you can do on the internet. 8, you can also like things with a thumbs up, and that's like such a cool thing to put out into the world.
Share, please share.
9, it's great to.
It's free. It's free.
It's free. 10, just do it, please. Okay.
That was amazing.
That was terrible.
I love how while Ryan is trying to come up with 10 reasons, the song in the background, she's like, I want you to love me.
And I'm like, I'm begging you, please like us on social. Yeah. So this is the spoiler wall. We're past it now, in case
We have graduated from the spoiler zone into the pre-spoiler zone into the spoiler zone. How's this work?
Who knows? Spoilers are coming up. If you don't want any spoilers, stop right now. If you do, keep listening. Let's jump into a little bit of trivia, okay? All
right. Mm-hmm.
The entire film was shot using real locations. No sets were used.
That makes sense.
That's actually pretty. I mean, even for stuff like a classroom, it's still kind of impressive because when you have to maneuver, camera and a crew around,
right?
Just a classroom isn't really the right size.
There's so many movies that the set you think is a location, but it's not because they've taken the ceiling out or they've knocked out a wall so they can get a shot they need.
2 walls missing. Yeah.
This they were like, nope, just drive around and find us some places to shoot at. When you think about it, it's really like 4 locations. You got the school, the house. You got
the house with the party.
The house with the party.
The theater with the prom.
The prom.
And then there's just kind of like the outdoor areas.
Some outdoor areas. Yeah. So you're not really like...
I mean, and if you're all around Seattle, like Seattle's already kind of... did they shoot in Vancouver or did they actually shoot in Seattle?
Oh, no, they shot in Seattle.
They did? Okay.
Yeah. So as I said before, Heath Ledger, this was his first American movie. Heath Ledger improvised the moment where Patrick starts playing with the fire. In that take where they're introducing his character.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, that's a good improv because it really tells you a lot about his character immediately. And it's like, I didn't realize, I mean, obviously I didn't look up trivia for before, but like the improv of that is crazy because that's such a good introduction to him that I can't even imagine if he didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like that's wild. So Heath Ledger beat out Josh Hartnett and Ashton Kutcher for the role of Patrick.
Good casting choice.
Yeah, definitely a good casting choice because he has the kind of bad boy feel. Right. Where like Ashton Kutcher, he's too soft.
He's
too
have
goofy, funny, good guy.
It's the long hair.
It is.
Where Heath Ledger pulls off long hair, but also that's enough for the bad boy.
Because he has the jawline.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Josh Hartnett can play serious, but like not bad boy really. Yeah. You know what I mean? Heath Ledger, especially with the hair, was like just perfect casting.
Yep.
So the scene in which Kat reads the 10 Things poem at the end,
which is fantastic,
was the first and only take.
Oh, wow.
Kat's tears towards the end were real and were not planned. They didn't have that in the script. She did it. And they were like, cut, print, it's good.
I mean, it's definitely one of those things where like I'm not terribly invested in the characters of the film, but that moment particularly is so well acted and it's so emotional.
It's
hard to not tear up for it.
Well, and again, back when I saw it as a sophomore, I was like, ugh, this girl, because I was reminded, but like this time now, I'm like tearing up going like, I was counting. I was like, that was 10 Things. That's the name of the movie.
She said it. It's the name of the movie.
So according to Larissa Olanik, it was Julia Stiles who suggested Frankie Valli's Can't Take My Eyes Off of You for Heath Ledger to sing on the football field.
Yeah, that's another really fun scene.
So there's a lot of, because I looked this up too, there's actually a lot of different stories about how it evolved, but the main takeaway is the original plan that the crew had in mind, the actors kind of took it over and were like, that's not a good choice.
Well, and that I think
because I guess at this point, like they're the youngest ones there, and like they would maybe have a general idea of like. I'm
trying to think of what the song. It was one of the songs that had been suggested was like When I Think About You, which is a little far. That's not very romantic.
Yeah.
It's a little. It's pushing that beyond PG-13 discussion kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you get into the actual lyrics.
So this last piece of trivia here, I think kind of ties into a lot of that is that, so David Krumholtz, who plays Michael in the film, wrote a piece for Vulture explaining why he thought it worked so well. Like why is this movie, people still talking about it or whatever. He said, it started because the entire cast was friends. He said, Joseph Gordon-Levitt turned me on to Fish. I turned him on to Wu-Tang Clan. Gabrielle Union had us just in stitches. Julia Stiles brought her own brand of Soho-bred artistic intellectualism. He said, at 17, mind you, because I guess she was just 17. Larissa Olanik's laughter filled the room, and we marveled at the tonedness of Andrew Keegan's muscles. He's like, so basically they had this little group of people, and he said when filming began, they didn't have Heath Ledger, so he wasn't there initially. It was like they were filming all the scenes, I guess, without him. And they were really worried about what his presence would do because they had such a good dynamic.
So much fun.
But they said that a few days later when he arrived, they found just another comrade immediately. And they said the group with Heath only got stronger. And before they knew it, the cast was experiencing what he said he's found all too rare is a unified chemistry throughout the ensemble. That I think
the chemistry is really
it translates.
You
to
can
the
definitely
film.
tell, particularly with the chemistry between Larissa and Julia Stiles, and obviously Julia Stiles and Heath Ledger.
They have some of the sister to sister scenes.
Oh, they're great.
I don't remember, from seeing this back when it came out or a little after it came out to now, which I've seen it several times since, but those scenes didn't always register, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
And that sequence with them in her bedroom, I was like, oh, this is a good scene.
Yeah. It was a good scene. Same way for me. I did not remember that scene sticking out.
I just remember specific highlights mostly probably because most of the times that I've watched the film, it's been with other people. We've been, yucking it up.
Well, whenever you're watching it with the quotation marks critical eye to review it or whatever.
Why did you say it like that?
The critical eye.
I mean, it definitely has a different, you're looking at it differently, and you're trying to actually break down scenes and that kind of stuff and kind of see how they did it.
Well, it always surprises me going back and watching. God, I don't want to call them older films, but at this point they are older films. Films from the 90s.
Yes,
when the films I grew up watching essentially, and you watch it now as an adult, and you're like, man, there's a lot of heart in this film that I don't expect, because what I remember as a kid or as
you weren't paying attention to
high
those
schooler,
moments.
Those weren't the moments they hit. It was the funny or whatever else, right?
Yeah.
Or the hot chick, or
Yeah. So one of my favorite bits of the whole that recurs is is Mr. Morgan, or Daryl Mitchell, I think.
Oh, the teacher.
Yeah, the teacher. Man, he
English
is.
He's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
His bits where he's just like, get out of my classroom.
Oh yeah. No, I'm genuinely excited about the assignment.
Get out.
Get out.
It's wow. Okay, so since we're past the spoiler wall, quick question. So what is the scene y'all are talking about that doesn't age well?
Whenever she flashes the teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's what it was, but I had this moment when you both were like, oh yeah. And I was like, wait, maybe there's another one. Cause I think it's that one.
There's really nothing else that's truly inappropriate.
That one's especially nowadays where it's well, no matter what comes out of that, the teacher gets fired just by default.
Well, it's true, but
there's no way to not,
I'll say this to defend the movie a little bit, is it they didn't play it for the teacher being like, oh,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, he's very much just oh my God.
Yeah, and then he's like, all right, anyways, back to detention. They don't play it up as a creepy
he's got
thing.
to creep on the
the high school, and it's all there's no
you don't see anything.
Obviously you don't see anything, but it's not one of those scenes where she is goaded into doing it. She does that completely.
It's 100% her choice to
her
do
agency
it.
there, but it's still just one of those things where it's you could have done it another way.
They could have, but
there had to have been a different way.
It shows the progress of time though, because if this was Fast Times, you would have actually seen everything.
Top comes off,
and it would have been the bit would have been they'd set up that this teacher had a crush on her earlier, and he would have oogle boogle, over it. Yeah. So this shows
this is
even as much as this doesn't
is progressive, even though it's still behind the times.
It kind of was just because this was very punk rock at the time.
Oh,
it's very offbeat compared to what you're used to seeing.
Very punk rock film.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the lead character of that Julia Stiles is playing, where she's just basically radical feminist.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a lot of sequences. We already talked about the sister talking, where you have a lot of scenes that there's no men. It's just the women talking to the women.
Which in '99, pretty
kind of rare in a lot of ways, especially for
it is pretty
what
rare.
is essentially a rom-com.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I really like about this film is that all of the people who are, let's say, core to the main characters' lives get a good turn out of it. Yeah. So William, who's just kind of a side character, who in a lot of films would be kind of a throwaway, he gets kind of a happy ending.
Yeah.
You get a good turn with the father and his daughters.
Yeah.
You get a good turn with the two sisters. And then, of course, you get a good turn with Cameron and Bianca, and then also
Kat and
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah.
It's so weird because he doesn't look like a Patrick.
He does.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a Patrick, and they almost never really reference his name.
They don't say his name.
I don't think I ever knew his name until at the end of this watching, where they're like, "Oh yeah, and Patrick. Who the heck Patrick.
They should have called him Verona by his last name.
They should have called. That's a much cooler name.
It seems like a dude looks like that would go by Verona.
And then over there's just this Verona.
Yeah. So my thing too is that, like, when you look at the plot, right, there are definitely the underpinnings of what would. I think if you saw this and didn't know that it was based off Taming of the Shrew, you'd be like, oh, of course, there's going to be a misunderstanding. And then she's going to be mad, and they're going to get together.
And this is a tale that's 300-something years old.
And then you realize, oh, yeah, wait, this is a 300-year-old story. This is, like, the Shakespeare version is the Taming of the Shrew is probably why that's a trope in romantic stories.
Everything else, where you have to have the misunderstanding, and then you have to have the turnaround.
But it is, you know, it's very similar to, like I mentioned earlier, like She's All That with Rachel E. Cook, where it's like it's not the same exactly, but it's like, here's this girl, I'm gonna make you a bet you can't make her prom queen, and she's Rachel Lee Cook, so she's absolutely smoking hot, even though she's wearing glasses and overalls.
Right? It's so stupid. A lot of
room to
that premise of, like, well, you know, she's
dumb.
She's the awkward girl. It's like, this girl would have ruled any high school she moved into.
It's the same thing.
You took her glasses off and took the ponytail. Come on,
it's the same thing as Princess Diaries. Like, Anne Hathaway is a smoke show in that.
Right,
she has frizzy hair and glasses.
It's the same setup of, like, I bet you money this can happen. Then they fall in love, and then when she finds out it was all because of a bet, they get upset, and then they come back at the end.
So
and
I like the
reconcile.
play where it's Cameron and William kind of driving. I can't remember the other dude's
Tony.
name. Tony?
Is it Tony?
I'm looking.
I want to call him Tony Chachi. Tony Chachery. That's not
Joey.
Right. Joey.
I knew there was an E at the end.
But they're trying to manipulate him into paying, because they can't afford it. So how do we get somebody else to afford it for us?
We need to have an idiot do this.
Yeah. I still, the scene where William goes and sits down at their table is so good. And, like, dude's just, like, talking to him while he's just driving his dick on his face. Like, I have that on my face.
Piece of trivia that I skipped over just to get to, like, the good stuff. Andrew Keegan, apparently, who played Joey, did not know how to draw genitals for that scene.
So innocent, so naive.
So David Krumholtz, who gets it drawn on his face, had to teach him how to do it, and then he did it. And I'm like, how do you not know how to draw genitals? Like, this is like kids in like grade school 101.
But it's also one of those things where this is the kind of film where, like, you know, when you were in college, someone passed out, you draw a dick on his face. This is the kind of film that drove that trend in a way. You know what I mean?
Sure. So I always laugh whenever I see, like, these kind of movies and stuff, because like the cool guy has the cool car and he's driving a Camaro.
Oh yeah, no,
it's like Andrew, the biggest piece of garbage.
Again, though, that was the car you drove when I was a sophomore. It was like the seniors had that car, and again, seniors were dating the sophomore girls, just like he's going after Bianca, and it's like he's got the Camaro, or like, you know,
how do you compete?
How do I compete with that?
I couldn't even go to prom. He's gonna invite her to prom.
I know. Yeah. So I had a question about that.
I will say that Heath Ledger's Bronco is very cool.
Oh, that's an awesome Bronco.
Good looking Bronco.
When he pulls up for the first time in that thing, I was like, oh, I missed that Bronco.
Yeah, that's such a good look.
Yeah. So I asked my wife this because I was like, maybe rules are different at this, school.
Yeah.
So at my school, it was like only seniors could go to the senior prom. The only way you go to the senior prom is if you get invited by a senior.
My wife and I actually had this exact conversation.
Yeah. So that's the rule, right?
Interesting.
If you go to senior prom, you have to be invited or go as a date of a senior. It's the senior prom.
For us, it was not a senior prom. It was a senior junior.
Yeah, so that's how it was for us.
But it was still the same drill. Like, if you were a freshman, like,
you got invited to go.
Yeah, like when I was a freshman and like two girls would get like invited, you're like, whoa, what's going on?
Right. So she makes the comment of, I'm the only sophomore girl going. I immediately interpreted it like my high school, like, oh, well, Joey, a senior, has invited her. Then when Joey doesn't take her, Cameron asks her.
Yeah, it's like, how did you
He's a sophomore. I thought, like, I was reading it as like, is he a senior?
I don't know. They don't really ever establish what grade Cameron's
they don't.
transferring in at.
That is true.
But the assumption I had the whole movie.
My assumption is he's the same age.
Because like he was tutoring her.
Yeah, but like that doesn't.
He tried to teach himself French to get it.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Is like, can you tutor someone in your own grade?
Well, I mean, you could do like a study group.
I mean,
yeah,
I guess.
Yes, you can. To your point, your question.
But at Oak Mountain, it was definitely
more like Coke Mountain. Am I right?
Just keep saying Coke Mountain.
But yeah, at our high school, you could. It was basically sophomore or senior and junior could go. if you wanted to. But then if you invited someone that's a sophomore or freshman, then they could go.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I couldn't just be like, oh, a freshman couple show up to the prom.
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way.
Wasn't going to happen.
That's why homecoming exists.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or like the fall dance or like the spring fling.
We just had
or
homecoming and prom.
We had like 4 dances a year, but there were like 3 minor ones and then prom.
Homecoming, prom. There's what's the one where the girls are supposed to ask the guys?
Oh,
White Valentine?
No, it starts with an S, I think.
Yeah. It's like.
Oh, it's Sadie Hawkins.
Sadie Hawkins.
Yeah.
That's probably a very Southern thing.
Probably it is. Yeah, we know the name of it. Yes.
I do declare, let's go to Sadie Hawkins.
The dance where only couples would go because that was the only way that a girl was actually going to ask a guy to do something in high school.
Yeah.
Right. Because social norms.
Yeah. Back in the late 90s,
societal pressure,
2000s.
the patriarchy, etc. But that tripped me up about like, so wait, if she's not going with Joey, how are these 2 sophomores going? And that's when I had the realization of like, I don't think we've said what grade Cameron's in.
Yeah.
He just looks like a child, so I assume he's not a senior.
Yeah, Justin Gordon-Levitt does look very young in this.
He just kind of looks young for the most
in general.
Most of the time.
Generally.
He's so scrawny.
Yeah, he's really small. Like you can, you're like, man, he's so little. But again, I weighed like 120 pounds when I was a sophomore. So I'm like,
so what cracked me up is we got on this thing where Lauren's like, well, how tall is David Krumholtz? Because like in Santa Claus, he seems really tall. And we were talking about like, oh, it's because a lot of the sequences he's in, he's just surrounded by children because it's the elves. So he looks like he towers over. And like, yeah, Tim Allen's taller than him, but okay, surprise. Yeah,
David Krumholtz, same size as The Rock, I bet.
He's like 5'6" or something. And I was like, oh, because he's just surrounded by children.
I also always get a kick out of the guidance counselor in this.
Dude.
Oh, Miss Perky by
Which she blew up in West Wing like right after this.
Allison Janney. She's great. Everything I've ever seen her in, she's hilarious.
Well, also like what a given the current year, right? Or the current couple of years where everyone's all about the spicy fantasy.
Yeah.
And like she's over here writing just this horrible romance book, and it's like, is this modern day?
Yeah. Some things never change.
Nope.
Yeah, I always got a kick out of that.
Yeah, Allison Janney's great. Everything I've pretty much ever seen her in, she's always really,
But also a lot of the scenes with her in it are probably something that parent would complain about.
Oh, I'm sure that's why.
But like if you brought your 12-year-old, that probably also just goes right over the 12-year-old's head.
They just have no idea what they're looking
Presumably. Or they're asking questions like, I don't want to have to answer this.
When I found the 1-star review, I was like, NC-17? I was like, first off,
there's no nudity.
You're being ridiculous because there's 0 nudity in the entire movie.
But she flashes someone.
Yeah, it's the implication. Then when I was thinking about like, so what happened in this movie that was like really, really bad, I was like, nothing.
Not really.
Like they discuss, Julia Stiles discusses having,
but she doesn't say it explicitly that she lost her virginity to Tony.
To Joey.
Tony. It's implied though.
It is. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean she did, but she didn't say it directly.
She didn't. Yeah. And so I was like, even that they like imply it. They say it, but they don't.
They kind of dance around a little bit.
They skirt around a lot of.
They were like, we did what everyone else was doing, and I didn't want to do it anymore. It's kind of how she says it.
Got mad at her or whatever.
Yeah.
It's still a really good conversation.
And so I was like, NC-17. What's this lady seeing in this movie? That's like,
it's probably the guidance counselor and flashing.
Okay,
those are the two big like
overtly sexual things.
Again, going back to me seeing this before, like I remember the flashing sequence, and even then it was kind of like, whoa, what are we doing here? Yeah, but I did not remember anything about the guidance counselor. So watching it now, I was like, what in the heck?
So I didn't remember any of that from the first time I watched it, and I was watching it. I was like, oh, okay, this is that kind of movie.
Bonkers. Yeah. This was made for Disney.
So I was going to ask about that. Of like, that's crazy to me that Disney had a moment in like the late 90s.
We gotta get edgy to keep up with Nickelodeon.
Well, yeah, they started greenlighting stuff that like you look back and you're like, Disney did that, and it's like, yeah.
Well, so this totally
tangent.
Totally not related to what we're just talking about, but every time I watch these films and I see like big sweeping shots of like,
you just think about how expensive the helicopter is.
You're talking about the end with the band on top. I looked at my wife and I go, that shot cost $100,000 minimum back then.
Exactly. Now you got drone technology.
No. And you didn't see this. I didn't look at the IMDb trivia. I was just reading because I was looking up things about the actor. So
I just look up things I hate about you.
You never know. It comes up every once in a while. So that shot cost $500,000.
Easy. Well, because you have to get all the people up there.
You have to get the band
all
up
the
there.
equipment. Assuming there's a roof hatch that they could maybe take equipment up.
There's a ladder on the side of the roof.
There is,
right. Shot. But like you have to fly
chopper
a helicopter.
fuel.
Yeah.
How many takes did it take? Like
So
film.
In an interview with the lead singer for Letters to Cleo, she was like, yeah, like they did that shot at the end, and like Disney had not signed off on it. They didn't give permission for the budget of that.
Oh wow!
He just went for it. So like I was kind of laughing because
It's a great shot.
You were talking about him like he dipped his toe into Hollywood and he went back to TV.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was one of those where Disney's like, what are you doing with your money?
It was like it's the end of production. He's like, you know what?
Let's
get a chopper in here.
But yeah, like now that you have drone technology, it fixes all of this. Like Lord of the Rings, half the cost.
No, don't get me wrong. You still have to drag like amps and stuff up onto that roof.
Yeah,
for sure.
But like, yeah, the cost of just putting a helicopter in the air versus a drone. Every time any of those big sweeping fantasy shots happen, I'm just like, man, this is so expensive in the 90s.
The fuel alone in a helicopter is insanely expensive.
The insurance of just being able to fly a helicopter. I mean, like
so many parameters.
Yeah.
Well, and then you still have to have a camera on it. You have to have you have to have a rig
you
for
gotta have
it.
someone shooting that. Yeah,
there's just so many logistics.
It's just wild.
We're old. All we see is just how expensive it is now.
All right, so real quick, Steven, would you rewatch it?
I mean, I rewatch it all the time.
Obviously. Andrew, would you rewatch it?
I'd rewatch it, but maybe not like every year, but I'd watch it every, if someone was like, hey, let's throw on something and we want to watch a rom-com. Yeah,
like someone's like, we want to watch a rom-com. It's like, okay, well, let's put on like a decent, like not something that's just going to be miserable.
Right.
We don't need...
10 Things I Hate About You would be one that would make that list.
Yeah, I would rewatch it.
Hugh Grant going around being so befuddled.
Love Actually.
Love Actually.
Befuddling English.
I cannot stand that movie.
Wait, there's another one. Notting Hill.
There's a couple with him
and Julia Roberts.
Ugh.
Yeah. Hugh Grant had a moment where it was like...
4 weddings
and a funeral.
Is he in that? Yes.
I'll look it up.
Yes.
There's another one too where it was like...
There's one from the early 90s.
Not Miss America, but something like that. Where's another one that's not Julia Roberts?
Is he in Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, it is Hugh Grant. In 4 Weddings and Funeral.
Okay.
Oh, 4 Weddings. I don't think he's in Miss Congeniality. He was rampant in the 90s in rom-coms.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, ugh.
He found his shtick and he made a lot of money off of it.
Or maybe it's just rom-coms with numbers in the title.
It could be.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, let's do a Venn diagram and let's find out like all the ones that start with numbers, which ones are smarmy and terrible. Oh my God, it's a circle. It's one circle. There's no Venn diagram. Yeah, I would rewatch it. I think the same thing of like if I have to put on a rom-com or something, it's easy enough to watch.
The short-ish list.
Top 5 choice of like, hey, we need to watch rom-com. Yeah. Well, there's
it's also
here's the 5 I want to watch.
You don't have to pay laser focused attention to it. No. You know what I mean? You could like have a popcorn, talk to somebody.
Once you know roughly the idea, and it has a couple of really big, like his singing sequence, right? It's just a really cool.
Like, you're going to sit down and watch
that you want to watch, but for the most part, as long as you know the general story,
if you've seen it before, you're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. Let's talk about our Patreon.
Ooh, Patreon
for
just
$1, you get
$1.
access to a lot of content, and you directly support the cast. Now, what kind of content do you get? You get access to all of our bonus episodes, of which we upload a new one every month, at least one,
guaranteed,
and access to all of our back catalog of bonus episodes for just $1. You also get access to our commentaries where
Patreon
we do
picks polls.
Yep, Patreon picks polls where you get to vote in what we're going to cover, and patrons get early access to that. Go ahead.
Cut you off on commentaries where we Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Just get in here, Steve. Get in here. Roll around in it.
I was going to wallow in it.
Yeah,
this is my playground now.
What else do you get on the Patreon, Steve?
we about covered it. You get.
He interrupted to be like, "Yeah, we're done. That's it."
You get a warm, fuzzy feeling for supporting the show.
It is for real the easiest way to directly support us, and we appreciate all our patrons and love them dearly.
Very much, very much.
Yes. All right. Well, that sounds about like all the time we have. As always, follow us on social, leave us a review wherever you're listening now, and share us with a friend. Until next time, I'm Ryan.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Steven.
And every spoiler was intended.